I was cleaning the floor of a gas station bathroom when my life changed forever. The air smelled of bleach, my hands raw from scrubbing tiles that would never shine, when a man in a black suit stepped through the door. "Colton Reeves?" he said, his voice calm, precise. I looked up, expecting a complaint about the smell. Instead, he held out a sleek leather folder and said words that didn't belong in my world. "Your real father in Germany has passed away. He left you everything, $1.3 billion, I laughed. It was a bitter, cracked sound. "You've got the wrong guy," I muttered, dunking the mop again. But he didn't smile. He opened the folder and laid a photograph on the counter. A man stood in front of a row of luxury cars, Ferraris, Bentleys, Maybachs. He looked older, grayer. But the face, it was mine. "My name is Detective Raymond Holbrook," the man said. "I've been searching for you for years. But there's a condition." He placed a document on the table. "You have 80 hours to uncover why your mother truly abandoned you. If you fail, the inheritance goes to charity. 80 hours. That's all," my mind spun. 8 years of cleaning toilets, sleeping behind dumpsters, counting coins for food. And now, I'm supposed to solve the mystery of my life before time runs out. I didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or run. All I knew was this: the truth had been buried somewhere deep, and I was about to dig it up, no matter what it cost. The clock started the moment he handed me the file. 80 hours. That's all the time I had to uncover the truth, or lose everything. The detective, Holbrook, followed me out of the gas station, his polished shoes splashing in puddles under the flickering neon lights. He didn't look like the kind of man who wasted words. "Your father, Wilhelm Richter, owned Richter Automotive Group, dealerships, factories, patents," he said, flipping through the folder. "He believed your mother took you and disappeared when you were 2. He never stopped searching. My mother told me he died in a car accident," I said quietly. "She even showed me the obituary." Holbrook stopped walking. "Your mother lied." Those 3 words didn't just sting, they detonated something inside me. We sat in his car, a black Mercedes, of course, as rain tapped against the windshield. Inside the folder were photos, documents, handwritten letters, even a hospital report from Munich stamped just 6 days ago. The man in those photos wasn't a stranger. He had my eyes, my jawline, and the same small scar above the eyebrow I'd always wondered about. Holbrook spoke again. "Your father's final request was clear. You're to inherit everything, but only if you uncover what really happened between him and your mother. He believed she was hiding something connected to your disappearance." My stomach churned. My mother, who kicked me out at 16 after choosing her alcoholic boyfriend Frank over me. What could she possibly be hiding that was worth $1.3 billion? "I don't even know where she lives anymore," I admitted. Holbrook smiled slightly. "That's where we start." He handed me an old photo, my mom holding me as a baby, standing in front of a white farmhouse. On the back was written, "Fairview County, 2002. That was 8 hours gone already. We drove through the night, past rusted towns and dark highways. Every passing mile felt heavier. I remembered the night she told me to leave, her voice cold, Frank's beer bottle clinking on the counter. "He's not worth it," she'd said. And I walked out with nothing but a backpack and an empty wallet. Now, years later, I was on my way to find her again, not for closure, but for truth. By sunrise, we reached Fairview. The air smelled like wet pine and forgotten dreams. We found the farmhouse easily. It looked the same as in the photo, old, quiet, and dying slowly under the weight of time. When I knocked, a woman's voice called from inside. "Who is it? It's me, Colton." The silence that followed lasted forever. Then the door creaked open. She looked older, her hair streaked with gray, her eyes tired, guilty, maybe both. "Colton?" she whispered. I didn't hug her. I didn't even step forward. I just said, "You lied to me." Her hand trembled on the doorknob. "About what?" she asked, though her voice already cracked with fear. I opened the folder and slid one photograph toward her, my father, alive and smiling, holding me as a baby. She gasped. Her knees buckled slightly. "Where did you get that?" "From a man who says my real father just died and left me everything." Her lips parted as if to speak, but no words came out. Instead, tears filled her eyes. She whispered something under her breath, a single sentence that changed everything. "I didn't lie to hurt you, Colton. I lied to keep you alive." Her words hung in the air like smoke. "I lied to keep you alive." I froze on the porch. The detective shifted beside me, clearly not expecting this either. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice tighter than I intended. Mom stepped back, motioning us inside. The farmhouse smelled like dust, old coffee, and something faintly metallic, like secrets buried too long. "Close the door," she said softly. We sat at the worn kitchen table, the same one I'd eaten cereal at as a kid. A faded photo of me, maybe age 2, still sat on the windowsill. My mother's hands trembled as she poured herself coffee, though she didn't drink it. Your father, Wilhelm, wasn't just a car tycoon, she began, staring at the dark liquid in her cup. He built his empire on technology, tracking systems, AI engines, prototypes that governments wanted. But not everyone wanted him to succeed. Holbrook leaned forward. You're saying someone was after him? She nodded. A group of investors, powerful ones. When I met Wilhelm, I had no idea who he truly was, or how dangerous his world had become. When I got pregnant, he begged me to leave Germany. Said they'd come for me and the child if anything happened to him. I could hear my pulse pounding in my ears. So you faked his death? Lied to me for 20 years? Tears finally slipped down her cheeks. Yes, because he told me to. He made me promise I'd raise you quietly, far from all of it. Holbrook frowned. But Wilhelm never stopped searching. He spent millions trying to find you. I know, she whispered. He called once, years later. Said he thought it was safe again. But that same week, the people who killed his partner showed up at our doorstep. I panicked, changed my name, moved again. And when you turned 16, Frank kicked me out, I said bitterly. She nodded. I thought you'd be safer on your own than under this roof. For a long moment, no one spoke. Only the ticking of the kitchen clock filled the silence. Then Holbrook pulled out a smaller envelope from his coat. Ma'am, Wilhelm left behind something else. A keycard. He said it opens a vault in Munich. But without Colton knowing why he was hidden, the inheritance is locked. She swallowed hard. Munich! There's a man there! Victor Drexler. He used to be Wilhelm's partner. If anyone knows what happened, it's him. Is he dangerous? I asked. Her eyes darkened. He's the reason your father told me to disappear. The detective turned to me. We'll need to leave within the next 12 hours if we're going to make it in time. 80 hours. The clock was ticking fast. I stood up, staring at the photograph again. My father's smile, my mother's guilt, and me stuck in between two versions of truth. Before leaving, I asked one last question. Mom, what did they want from Dad? Money? Power? She shook her head slowly. No, something much worse. Your father built something that could change everything, not just the auto industry, but how governments track people. He called it Project Helios. Project Helios? I repeated. She nodded. A system that could make anyone disappear or be found in seconds. The detective's eyes narrowed, and Drexler got his hands on it. Mom didn't answer, but her silence said everything. I turned to leave, heart pounding with a mix of fear and adrenaline. For years, I'd scrubbed toilets to survive. Now, I was racing across continents to uncover a billion-dollar secret, and maybe the real reason my father died. As we stepped back into the rain, Holbrook's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his face drained of color. What is it? I asked. He looked at me grimly. They already know you're coming. The airport felt colder than usual that night. The overhead lights buzzed softly, and every announcement seemed to echo through my chest like a countdown clock. We had 68 hours left. Detective Holbrook walked ahead, scanning every shadow like a man who'd been trained to expect bullets in the dark. I followed, clutching the manila folder he'd given me earlier. Inside were my father's documents, a plane ticket, and the mysterious keycard that supposedly unlocked the truth in Munich. Keep that close, Holbrook muttered as we passed security. If Drexler's people are watching, that's the first thing they'll want. His people? I repeated. Victor Drexler doesn't work alone, he said grimly. He's got half of Europe's underground on his payroll. He'll know the moment we land. The plane ride was silent at first. Clouds drifted below us, endless and ghostly. I stared out the window, my reflection blending with the night. I couldn't stop thinking about Mom's words. I lied to keep you alive. For 24 years, I believed my father died in a car crash. Now I was heading to his homeland to uncover a secret that might have gotten him killed. When we landed in Munich, the air hit me like ice, crisp, sharp, and heavy with tension. The detective's phone buzzed as soon as we cleared customs. He frowned, then turned to me. They've already been here. What do you mean? Your father's lawyer's office broken into last night. Files missing. Security footage wiped clean. My stomach sank. So what now? He slipped on his sunglasses, scanning the crowd. Now, we find Drexler before he finds you. We took a black rental car and drove through the slick city streets. Rain streaked the windshield like falling glass. The city was beautiful but cold. Every corner felt like it was hiding something. Holbrook turned off the main road and parked near an industrial complex on the outskirts. This is where your father's company started. Richter Automotive's first lab. The building loomed ahead, old and rusted. But when we pushed through the metal doors, the interior was spotless, humming with modern machines and faintly lit monitors. Someone had been here, recently. We moved quietly through the corridors until we reached a heavy steel door. I held up the keycard. Think that's what it's for? I asked. Only one way to find out, Holbrook said. I slid the card through the scanner. A small green light blinked, then the door unlocked with a hiss. Inside was a clean, white-walled room with a single glass case in the center. Inside the case lay a black tablet engraved with a sun symbol, Project Helios. Holbrook's jaw tightened. This is what Drexler's been after. Your father's system. Before I could respond, a voice echoed through the room. Well, looks like the prodigal son finally arrived. We both spun around. A tall man stepped out of the shadows, his smile sharp and cold. His accent was thick German, his suit immaculate. Victor Drexler, Holbrook muttered. In the flesh, Drexler said, clasping his hands behind his back. You look just like Wilhelm. He was a visionary. Pity he didn't live to see his masterpiece completed. My pulse quickened. You killed him, he chuckled softly. Kill him? No, boy. I helped him. But power, true power, cannot be shared. Your father thought he could hide his legacy from the world. From me, he stepped closer. But now, fate brought you to finish what he started. Holbrook moved between us. Back off, Drexler. Drexler's smile widened. Careful, detective. You wouldn't want your young friend here to end up like his father. I clenched my fists. You don't scare me. Oh, I don't need to scare you, he said, nodding toward the ceiling. Not when I already own everyone who does. Suddenly the lights flickered. Red lasers danced across the walls. Security drones dropped from the vents, whirring to life. Holbrook grabbed my arm. Run! We sprinted through the corridors as sirens blared. The floor vibrated under our feet. I clutched the tablet, the only proof of my father's invention. As bullets shattered the glass behind us, we burst into the rain, dove into the car, and sped off. Holbrook's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Congratulations, he said through clenched teeth. Now Drexler knows exactly who you are. And as we disappeared into the foggy Munich night, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just about inheritance anymore. It was war. The next morning, Munich was wrapped in mist. The city looked haunted. Every shadow seemed to whisper my name. We'd spent the night in a rundown motel outside the city limits, blinds drawn, lights off. Neither of us slept. Holbrook sat by the window, his gun resting on the table beside him. They'll search everywhere, he said quietly. We can't stay long. I was still clutching the black tablet, Project Helios. Whatever it was, it had Drexler willing to kill for it. What's on this thing? I asked. Holbrook looked up, his face unreadable. Your father was building something far beyond cars. A self-sustaining AI system capable of controlling an entire production network without human input. I frowned. Like automation? He shook his head. Like dominance. Whoever controls Helios controls the future of automotive technology, maybe even defense systems. I stared at the device in my hands. My father hadn't just built cars, he'd built power. Before I could say anything, Holbrook's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, then froze. What is it? He hesitated, then said, It's your mother. My chest tightened. She's here. She just sent coordinates. Says it's urgent. I didn't know whether to feel hope or dread. After 8 years of silence, she suddenly wanted to help? Still, something in me needed answers. Let's go. The drive led us deep into the Bavarian countryside, winding roads lined with pines. The fog so thick, it looked like the world was dissolving. We stopped near an old vineyard, the sign long faded. Richter Estates. This was your father's private retreat, Holbrook said. If there's a vault, it'll be here. We followed the coordinates down a dirt path to a crumbling stone house. Inside, everything was covered in dust, except for one painting, perfectly clean. Holbrook smirked. Classic trick. He lifted the painting away, revealing a steel panel. Beneath it, a biometric scanner. Go ahead, he said. I placed my hand on the scanner. A green light flashed, then the floor rumbled. A hidden staircase slid open beneath the rug. The air below was colder, metallic. The walls were lined with old servers, blinking faintly in the dark. And in the center stood a sealed glass chamber, another black tablet resting inside. Backup drive, Holbrook murmured. Helios must have been stored in fragments. As I stepped forward, lights flickered, and a voice echoed from a hidden speaker. Colton. I froze. The voice was deep, calm, familiar. Dad? Holbrook's eyes widened. It's a recording. The voice continued. If you're hearing this, it means they found me first. I didn't die of natural causes, son. Drexler betrayed me, and your mother helped him. I felt my stomach drop. No. She said it was to protect you. The recording went on. But she gave him access to everything. My files, my research, my empire. She thought he'd spare you. She was wrong. I could barely breathe. Holbrook placed a hand on my shoulder, steady but tense. The recording ended with one final line. Trust no one who stands beside you. A sharp click echoed behind us. I turned. My mother stood at the top of the stairs, tears in her eyes, and a gun in her hand. Colton, she said softly, please. Put the tablet down. My voice shook. Is it true? Her lip trembled. I did what I had to. Your father wanted to destroy Drexler, but he would have destroyed you too. You were just a child. Holbrook stepped forward, gun drawn. Drop it. Stay out of this, detective, she snapped. You don't understand what's at stake. But I'd already made my choice. I took a step back, clutching the tablet tighter. You lied to me my whole life. You let me grow up thinking I was nothing, while you lived in his shadow. Tears streamed down her face. I was trying to save you. Then why are you pointing a gun at me? The silence was deafening. And then, bang! A shot rang out. The glass chamber shattered, sparks erupted. The room plunged into darkness. When the smoke cleared, Holbrook was on the ground, clutching his arm. My mother was gone, and in my hand, the tablet blinked, glowing faintly with my father's initials. W. R. She's gone, I muttered. My mother, she just disappeared. Holbrook winced, but his eyes burned with purpose. She didn't vanish, Colton. She's going to Drexler. You just made her his most valuable asset. We stumbled out into the dawn, the fog now tinted orange by the rising sun. For a second, I just stood there, my heart pounding, my mind replaying that recording. Trust no one who stands beside you. Was my father warning me about her? Or about him? Holbrook's phone buzzed again, this time an encrypted call. He glanced at the screen, then cursed under his breath. Who is it? I asked. He ignored me, walking a few feet away, answering in hushed tones. Yes, he has it. No, not yet. But we're close. Something in his tone made my stomach twist. The way he said, we, like I wasn't part of it. When he hung up, I asked, who was that? He didn't meet my eyes. Backup. Interpol. They'll meet us in 2 hours. But his hand was trembling slightly. That's when I knew he was lying. I said nothing. Not yet. We drove back toward Munich, silent except for the hum of the old BMW's engine. Every sign, every landmark blurred past as my thoughts spun. My mother had betrayed my father. Holbrook might be betraying me. And my father, the man I never knew, had somehow planned all of this. When we reached the city outskirts, Holbrook pulled into a service station. I need to clean this up, he said, nodding toward his wound. Grab us some water. I went inside the small convenience store, pretending to browse. But my eyes stayed fixed on the car through the window. That's when I saw it. He reached into his jacket pocket, not for a bandage or phone, but for a small transmitter. He tapped it twice. The red light blinked. A tracker. He wasn't calling backup. He was leading someone to us. I stepped outside quietly, heart thudding. Who are you working for? I asked, voice low. He froze. Colton, don't lie to me again. My father warned me. He sighed heavily, like a man caught between guilt and duty. I was hired by Richter's board members, the ones your father cut out of his empire. They want Helios back. I was supposed to find you before Drexler did. My voice cracked. So you've been playing me this whole time? Not anymore, he said. But if they know we have Helios, they'll come tonight, and your mother will lead them right to us. I looked down at the tablet in my hands, the glowing initials WR pulsing like a heartbeat. What happens if they get it? Holbrook's jaw tightened. Then your father's death will mean nothing. Helios can't fall into corporate hands. It's not just a system, It's an intelligence. A living algorithm. Your father made it to protect something. Or someone. The word sent chills through me. Someone? Before he could answer, a gunshot shattered the windshield. Bang! Glass rained down like shards of ice. Holbrook shoved me to the ground behind the car. A black SUV screeched to a stop at the station entrance. "Get down!" he yelled. Two men in tactical suits jumped out, guns raised. I ducked behind a vending machine, clutching the tablet tight against my chest. The gunfire echoed off the metal, deafening. Holbrook fired back, hitting one of them in the leg. The other advanced, firing wildly. "Run!" Holbrook shouted. But I couldn't leave him, not again, not after everything. He looked at me, eyes hard. "Colton, go." I hesitated for a heartbeat, then turned and ran. Through the side door, into the alley. The last thing I heard before the explosion was Holbrook's voice over the chaos. Not shouting, not in pain, but almost calm. "Find the truth, son. It's not where you think." Then the station went up in flames. The explosion ripped through the air, lighting up the early morning sky like a second sunrise. I was thrown to the ground, the force of it rattling my bones. When I looked back, the gas station was gone, just fire, smoke, and twisted metal. "Raymond!" I shouted, but there was no answer. Only the crackling flames. For a few seconds I couldn't move. My mind refused to process what had just happened. The man who'd lied to me, guided me, and maybe even protected me, was gone. I stumbled, through the alley, half blind from the smoke, clutching the tablet to my chest like it was life itself. Somewhere behind me I could hear sirens. Somewhere else, the screech of tires. They were coming. Whoever they were, they knew exactly where I was now. I didn't have a plan. I didn't even have my phone. Just an address burned into my memory. The coordinates from my father's hidden file. Rosenfeld Estate, Archive 12. I ran, through narrow streets, past shuttered bakeries and fog-covered squares, until my lungs burned. When I reached the outskirts of Munich, the world had gone quiet again. The estate stood in the distance, massive, abandoned, its iron gates chained but half open. I slipped inside. The place looked frozen in time, walls lined with portraits, the air thick with dust and old perfume. But something about it felt familiar, like I'd been there before. I moved deeper into the hall, my flashlight beam bouncing off marble floors and cracked chandeliers, and then I saw it. A portrait of a young man standing next to a woman with eyes as cold as stone. My father. And my mother. I staggered backward, breath catching. She looked younger, but unmistakable. My father's hand rested on her shoulder. Lovingly. They weren't enemies. Not then. A metallic click broke the silence. "Don't move," a voice said behind me. I froze. It was her. My mother stepped into the light, holding a gun. Her hair was shorter now, streaked with gray, her face worn by years I hadn't been part of. "Mom?" My voice cracked. She hesitated, just for a moment, before tightening her grip. "You shouldn't have come here, Colton." I stared at her, tears stinging my eyes. "You lied to me my whole life, about him, about everything." Her lips trembled. I had no choice. "No choice?" I laughed bitterly. "You threw me out like garbage. You let me think he was dead. You made me believe you were the victim." Her hand shook. "Because if I didn't, you would have been next." I blinked. "Next?" "Wilhelm found something," she whispered. "Something that could destroy every powerful man in Europe. Drexler wanted it, so did your father's board. They threatened me. They threatened you. So I ran. I told you he died, because it was safer if you hated me." The truth hit me like a freight train. All these years, I'd carried anger for nothing. She wasn't heartless, she was terrified. The gun lowered slightly. I loved him, Colton, but he made enemies you can't imagine. Footsteps echoed from the corridor, shouts in German, armed men Drexler's team flooding the hall. "Give me the tablet," she said urgently. "They can't get it." Before I could move, a bullet shattered the window beside us. She ducked, pulling me to the floor. "Run!" she screamed, but I didn't move. I couldn't. Not without you. Her eyes softened for the first time in years. You have your father's stubbornness. Then she shoved the tablet into my hands and fired back toward the door. Go, Colton! Find him, find who? I yelled over the gunfire. She turned, tears streaking her face. Your brother. The words froze me in place. My what? But before she could answer, a flashbang exploded, filling the room with blinding light and smoke. When it cleared, she was gone. All that remained was the sound of boots retreating and the faint glow of the tablet in my hand, blinking with a new message. Helix protocol activated. Subject, Noah Richter. Location, Berlin. My hands shook. My heart pounded. I wasn't the only heir, and now, someone out there, someone I'd never met, was the key to everything. Berlin. The city looked like it hadn't slept in weeks. Neither had I. The tablet's blue glow guided me through streets soaked in neon and rain, showing only one name pulsing on the cracked screen. Noah Richter. A name I'd never heard in my life, yet somehow it felt carved into my bones. The address led me to an industrial district, rows of abandoned warehouses standing like forgotten giants. Somewhere inside, the Helix protocol was alive, waiting, whispering secrets I wasn't sure I wanted to know. I took a breath, clutching the gun my mother had dropped before disappearing. My fingers trembled. I wasn't trained for this. I was just an architect who'd stumbled into a world of lies and ghosts. But now, there was no turning back. The door creaked open. Inside the warehouse was pitch black, the air thick with metal and oil. Who's there? A voice echoed. Male. My age, maybe younger. Noah. I called out, the sound of movement. Then a shadow emerged, stepping into the faint light bleeding from a broken skylight. He looked at me like I was a mirror. Same jawline, same eyes. The resemblance was so strong I almost forgot to breathe. Who are you? He demanded, gun raised. My name's Colton, I said quietly. Your brother. He froze. For a long moment, the only sound was the drip of rain from the ceiling. Then he laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. It was bitter, sharp. That's impossible. My brother died in Zurich 10 years ago. I shook my head. No, that's what they told both of us. He lowered the gun slightly, confusion written across his face. You're saying they lied? They lied about everything, I said, stepping closer. About our father. About Project Helix. About us. Noah's eyes darted toward the tablet. You have it? I nodded. Holbrook gave it to me before he... I swallowed hard. Before he died, Noah exhaled slowly. Then you really are him. Colton Richter. He led me to a makeshift control room, a cluster of monitors powered by a generator's soft hum. On the screens were encrypted maps, documents, and a symbol that made my blood run cold. A spiral made of zeros and ones. The Helix. I've been hiding here for 3 years, Noah said, waiting for this protocol to reactivate. It was supposed to trigger only when one of us accessed our father's network. I frowned. So Dad created it? Yes, as a failsafe. A digital resurrection. The words hit me like thunder. What do you mean, resurrection? Noah turned the tablet toward me. The code started to decrypt itself. Lines of data unraveling until a video feed appeared, grainy, but unmistakable. Our father, Colton. Noah. The recording began. If you're watching this, I'm gone, but not lost. The Helix contains everything. My research, my mistakes, and the truth about what they took from us. He paused, his expression heavy. Drexler was never after me. He was after what's inside you. The video glitched. My heart dropped. What's inside me? I whispered. Noah turned away. Our father didn't just build systems. He built people. You're the prototype, Colton. The first Helix host. I was the control. The room spun. That's insane. But then I remembered everything. The migraines. The strange dreams. The way the tablet responded only to my touch. It wasn't insanity. It was programming. Before I could process it, a loud bang echoed from outside. The warehouse lights flickered. They found us, Noah said, grabbing a bag. We need to move, now. We sprinted toward the back exit, bullets sparking off metal beams. I could hear German commands being shouted, Drexler's men, closing in fast. We burst out into the alley, rain pouring down like needles. Noah ducked behind a truck, firing back. This way! I followed him into the chaos, my mind a storm of questions. My father had turned me into something more than human. My mother had lied to protect me. And my brother, the one I never knew existed, was the only person left I could trust. As we disappeared into the night, I realized the truth wasn't just dangerous. It was alive, and it was running through my veins. The rain didn't stop for 2 days, Berlin blurred into a maze of steel, smoke, and fear, as Noah and I hid in a safe house tucked behind an abandoned train yard. Every window was blacked out. Every sound felt amplified, the city's pulse matching the one pounding in my skull. I couldn't shake the last thing our father said on the video. Drexler was after what's inside you. Those words haunted me. What did he mean, inside me? Noah sat hunched over a laptop, decoding another layer of the Helix protocol. Every few minutes his fingers froze midair, and he'd glance at me like I was some ticking bomb. Finally, I snapped. You keep looking at me like I'm dangerous. What aren't you telling me? He sighed, rubbing his eyes. You really don't remember anything. Do you? Remember what? The clinic in Zurich. You were 6. A cold silence filled the room. Noah continued, voice low. They called it Project Helix, Phase 1. Dad was experimenting with biological encryption, data stored not in drives, but in DNA. He looked right at me. You were the first success. The living key. I felt my throat tighten. You're saying my DNA is the code? Not just the code. You are the only one who can unlock it. Without you, Helix is useless. My head spun. So Drexler doesn't want the inheritance. He wants me. Noah nodded grimly. And if he gets you, the entire Richter network, every patent, every encrypted design becomes his weapon. Before I could respond, a loud buzz cut through the room. The security alarm. Noah jumped to his feet. They found us! I grabbed the tablet, shoving it into my jacket as the windows shattered from gunfire. We dove behind a steel counter, shards raining down. Noah fired back with precise bursts, shouting over the chaos. Back exit! Go! We bolted through the kitchen and burst into the alley, sirens wailing in the distance. The night air stung my lungs as we sprinted toward the old rail tunnels. But then I heard it. His voice, through a megaphone. Colton. You can't run forever! Drexler. He stepped into the light, flanked by armed men. His white trench coat glowed under the street lamps, rain dripping from his silver hair. Your father's empire doesn't belong to you, he called out. It belongs to those who can control it. I glared at him. You killed my father, he smirked. Your father died trying to protect a mistake. Something snapped inside me. I raised the gun, but Noah stopped me. He's stalling, he whispered. We have to move! We turned and ran down the tunnel. Drexler's men followed, their flashlights slicing through the darkness. I stumbled, gasping, clutching my side, the tablet pulsing faintly under my jacket. Then it happened. The pulse grew stronger, rhythmic, almost alive. My vision blurred. My veins glowed faintly blue beneath the skin. Colton! Noah shouted, grabbing my shoulders. You're activating it, stop. I can't, I cried. The energy surged through me, electricity dancing across my hands. The tunnel lights flickered, then exploded in a chain reaction, plunging everything into darkness. The sound of gunfire turned into screams as Drexler's men were thrown backward by the blast. When the light returned, I was standing in the middle of the tunnel, the air humming around me. Noah stared at me like I was something he didn't recognize. What did you just do? He whispered. I looked down at my hands, still glowing faintly. I don't know, he swallowed hard. Then we're running out of time. If you're fully activating, Helix will start broadcasting. Every major corporation, every government AI will detect it. I took a deep breath, fear mixing with adrenaline. Then we end this before they find me. Noah nodded. There's only one place left, the Black Tower. That's where Dad built the Helix core. If we destroy it, Drexler loses everything. I tightened my grip on the tablet. The hum beneath my skin now steady, powerful, awake. For the first time, I wasn't just running from my past. I was running toward it. The Black Tower loomed over Berlin like a shadow carved from steel. Every window was dark except one, glowing faintly red at the top. The Helix core. Noah and I pushed through the storm, drenched and exhausted. We'd made it through every trap, every lie, every ghost from the past. But this was different. This was the end. We reached the top floor. The door slid open with a hiss. Inside stood Drexler, calm as ever, hands clasped behind his back. Impressive, he said. You made it this far. But the Helix isn't yours. It's mine. He lifted a sleek device, a remote. One press, and your DNA becomes public code. Every nation will have it. I took a step forward. You'll destroy the world for control. Drexler smiled coldly. Control is the world. Before he could press the button, Noah lunged, tackling him. The device skidded across the floor. I dove for it, but Drexler pulled a gun. A single shot echoed. Noah fell. I screamed, fury boiling through me. The lights flickered, and suddenly, the Helix within me awakened again. The glass around us shattered, sparks flaring as energy coursed through my veins. Drexler fired again, but the bullets melted midair. I grabbed the remote, slammed it onto the console, and hit purge. The tower erupted in white light. Data streams dissolved into nothing. Helix was gone, forever. When I opened my eyes, the building was half destroyed, rain pouring through the broken roof. Noah was gone. Drexler, too. But I was free. My father's empire didn't die with him, it was reborn in me. And this time, I wasn't running.